So I'm in Turpan, and I had planned to go to a number of sites because I thought that in Xinjiang province, if I'm not butchering that pronunciation, being further away from kind of mainstream China and being of a kind of more varied ethnic disposition. Varied ethnic disposition doesn't sound right. I've just woken up. There'd be less attention given, let's say, to kind of making things more absurdly touristy, let's say, more mainstream. It's not the case. Everything that was in my itinerary, I cross-checked before making the attempt to visit. Everything's within the periphery of Turpan, these so-called ancient cities. And as per usual, the Chinese agenda has reached every single place imaginable, even places that seemingly aren't touristy. It's a genius system, really. Like, everything has been, I would say, attacked. You could argue, I guess, on the other front that it's just, the practicality, kind of streamlining everything, maintaining everything without actually kind of, endeavouring to pursue and retain the archaeological importance of each site, the historical importance. So everything is new. And I know in this video, because my camera is not very good, it kind of looks like an atypical Central Asian mosque, or just a mosque really that you find even in places in North Africa and Mali and Mauritania and Libya and Egypt and all these places. But it is brand new. I mean, as nice as it may look from here, I promise you, just everything has just been made into a theme park. It's really difficult to tell on the camera, but all of this is just plastic rock, like in Disneyland. All of these walls are brand new. There's CCTV cameras all around the periphery. It's not a mosque because the place is completely locked, just like the one in Xi'an, the so-called Great Mosque. Again, not used by anyone for prayer. It's been, again, I don't want to commit to any thoughts, but it is my belief that it's essentially been hijacked by the various Chinese ministries and made into a relic of the past, a tourist attraction, just for hordes of Chinese tourists on these fucking bus tours that come along, and they're just given a copy and paste image of the thing they saw the day before. All the sites just look like this. It's all brand new. Nothing's been restored. It's really a case of they just demolish it and rebuild it so it looks like Disneyland. Similar to Uzbekistan, they've done the same thing in Samarkand and Bukhara and Khiva. You go in, there's nothing. It's just a plastic shell, essentially. So I wasn't really going to go in anyway, because even if it was open, which it isn't, again, they've charged entrance fees for everything, and no mosque has an entrance fee, no real mosque. The only mosque I've ever seen an entrance fee for is also culturally Chinese, and it's in Kyrgyzstan, in Karakol. It's a Dungan mosque, and the guy that runs it is a complete racist, and he charges only white people to go into the mosque. But at least that mosque in that example was authentic. It really was quite historic. But everything so far I've seen in China is just, as you'd expect, Disneyland. So I'm not really going to see any other sites because it's just pointless. Why just pay to see nothing? There's nothing of value left within these sites. Even the museums are empty, and the museums are just copy and paste, shove some dinosaur, I don't believe in dinosaurs, but shove some fake dinosaur bones, just like every museum and exhibit around the world under the kind of Masonic agenda. And then you've just got some slapdash, falsified historical narrative that can't be substantiated by anything. And without going on a rant, it was when I was walking along looking for a way into the mosque, it just occurred to me, I've been travelling now for well over a decade, well over 100 countries. I've probably seen thousands of archaeological sites, maybe even more, maybe tens of thousands, literally, every church, every castle, every mosque, every historic building. And I don't think I've seen more than, on a handful of occasions, any active archaeological dig or excavation on any of these sites. You see the apparent excavations, i.e. the equipment's in place, gaining dust, pits have been dug. I never see anyone actually excavating. And like I said, only a handful of occasions have I, because it's all bullshit. It's all nonsense. Like, everything you see, it's a fictitious narrative that's supplanted to create a globalized political agenda and narrative for for future generations. You know, you own the past, you own the future. Everything's made up. You know, really everything is made up. You know, it's ludicrous. But that's another side point. But on a positive, yeah, you know, I actually I posted a video up on the channel. It was only a 15-second clip. But under this just monstrosity that the Chinese just do everywhere, every fucking city you go to, it's just prison-style high-rises that they construct. It's awful, like really awful. So awful. It ruin everything. Like, everything just has to be copy and paste. It's so Soviet, it's so communist. It's very, you know, tenement blocks, sky rises everywhere. But there is a very old church up there. A very old, mosque, not church, with a very old cemetery graveyard, and it's really super historic. And again, there's no maintenance for that. It has really a lot of value, at least in my eyes. It's fantastic. It's ancient, really ancient, and untouched, unspoilt. But that's because, you know, they probably end up destroying it, knocking it down. No attention's being given to restoration or something that truly has value. Instead, they want to just create these revenue streams, but more so it's a political agenda, just to kind of to place the cultural importance of the region on a back foot, and kind of brand it, if you like, as a form, as a relic, and no longer of current present value, which is why they've just essentially fortified all these compounds. So yeah, it's fucking freezing. I'm wearing sandals, and everyone stares at my sandals. Apparently in China, if you wear sandals, you're seen as like either a unique somewhat of a wonder, or what I believe, based on people's facial expressions, is they look down on you. It's like, what the fuck is this guy doing wearing sandals? He must be such a peasant. I'm actually not cold at all. Another thing I learned as of last year on my cycling trip, I invested in really expensive socks. These socks, I'm wearing 2 pairs, about £20 each, and they're genuine merino wool. And good God, they're bloody amazing. Honestly, aside from the fact that they're not damaged at all, and my feet have been pressing into them for well over a year on the bicycle, running, etc., perfect condition. Quality is unbelievable, and they're super warm. The things that are cold are my hands, even with the gloves, because we are negative temperatures up here, even though it's quite a clear day today. Anyway, I'm ranting, so I'm going to go and wander over to the museum now, which is free and does contain dinosaur bones and all the nonsense, all the propaganda. There are no dinosaurs, no one's ever been to space, or at least to the moon, depends on how you define space. But all these things are nonsense, and I know anyone listening to that is like, oh my God, this guy must be batshit crazy. No, honestly, I've spent, as is the case with the people that also corroborate my understanding of truth, decades reading and researching, when most of the listeners have 9-to-5 jobs and families and whatnot to take care of. So there's absolutely no way in hell that people can pretend to have knowledge about subject matters, especially pertaining to politics and things like that, unless you spend, just like any subject matter, 10 to 15 hours a day continuously researching, or 10 to 15 hours a day, sorry, maybe, a number of hours a day, each and every day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year, for the last, decades. It's just no way. People just watch a news clip and they're like, oh God, no, well, everyone knows people have been disposed. Everyone knows about dinosaurs. If you actually research on dinosaurs, I'm going on a rant again. If you actually research, all the people that supposedly discovered dinosaur bones were proven liars and practitioners of falsities, forgeries. All these examples were ascertained by the various now Masonic institutes that have been thoroughly occupied by the cabal narrative. These people were crooks and forgers, and then eventually, as these institutions were permeated with the very crooks and forgers that now sponsor these falsified narratives, here's the entrance, see, it's just like a tourist attraction, these people's forgeries were then adopted. Many of these people forged hundreds and hundreds of dinosaur bones before they then miraculously found legitimate ones, because it was so easy back in the day, without technology, to just stumble through forests and woodlands and dig down with a spade and find so many dinosaur bones. Isn't that just amazing that people were finding thousands of them as if they knew where to look? Absolutely ludicrous. And now these things are in museums, people will look at them and think they're really ancient. They're all forgeries, and there are no dinosaurs. They never existed. No one's been to space. It's all nonsense. Everything is just a fictitious narrative supplanted to maintain a social equilibrium, political equilibrium for the elite. And people just will never understand these things because they go and they get their little vaccinations and jabs, and because they're told to, injecting their kids with all kinds of poisons that they can't comprehend, because they live in a fear-induced society and a mentality that's supplanted on them by being brought up in an environment of such fear since the dawn of time for most people, especially when you live in urban environments where people's ideas can be saturated and compounded into one unified kind of sense of political directive, Orwellian theory of hate speech every day, and you must adhere to the protocols of the state. Anyway, that really was a rant. I'm going to turn it off now.